the remains of a moon torn apart by Saturn's gravity. You are floating beside a masterpiece built on violence. Forget everything you thought you knew about Saturn's piece. Tonight, you will see why this beautiful world is actually the scariest place in our solar system. Step closer to the rings, and the illusion shatters. Saturn's halo isn't a gentle band of dust. It's a killing field, a razor-thin gauntlet of ice and stone. Each particle, from grains smaller than a snowflake to boulders the size of trucks, whips around the planet at speeds that defy instinct. Near the inner edge, the debris screams along at over 24 kilometers per second. Even at the outer rim, nothing falls below 17 kilometers per second. That is fast enough to rip steel apart, to vaporize anything unlucky enough to cross its path. The rings look delicate from afar, but their thickness is an illusion. Most of this chaos is crammed into a vertical space barely 10 meters high, the height of a two-story house. Billions of fragments crowd together, orbit after orbit, locked in a perpetual crossfire. Shear forces between ringlets mean even a slight drift up or down is a death sentence. A single centimeter-wide chip of ice can hit with the force of a bullet. A meter-wide chunk delivers the violence of a high-speed car crash. There is no shelter here, no solid ground, only a ceaseless storm of shrapnel, each piece a memory of destruction, each orbit a silent threat. If you were to drift into this disk, you would vanish in a heartbeat, torn apart, atomized, scattered into the endless spiral. Saturn's rings are not a place. They are an execution. The planet waits, cold and indifferent, as its masterpiece of violence spins on. Saturn's rings are not the remains of gentle creation, but the aftermath of a killing. Their beauty is a mask for violence, so complete it rewrites the history of the solar system. The evidence lies in their mass, 2 times 10 to the 19th kilograms, enough ice and rock to build a moon 100 kilometers across. But that moon is gone. It strayed too close, crossing the invisible boundary known as the Roche limit, where Saturn's gravity becomes a cosmic executioner. Tidal forces twisted the moon, stretched it, and tore it apart. The fragments didn't drift away. They settled into orbit, spreading into the razor-thin disk that circles the planet today. This is not a gentle grave. Every orbit is a cycle of destruction, the remains of a world ground finer with each passing century. The rings are young, no more than 200 million years old, a blink in cosmic time. Their brightness betrays their youth, untouched by the darkening dust that would stain ancient debris. Scientists read the clues in the purity of the ice, the thin layer of meteoroid dust, the relentless rain of particles onto Saturn's cloud tops. These are the signatures of a recent catastrophic event, a moon murdered by the gravity of its own master. Look at the rings, and you see a monument to loss. Each glittering shard is a piece of a world that once was. Saturn is not just a planet with rings. Saturn is a planet that destroys, then wears the bones of its victims as a crown. At Saturn's North Pole, geometry becomes a warning. Here, the planet wears a mask of order so precise it borders on unnatural. A 6-sided storm etched into the clouds, larger than the Earth itself. Each side stretches 14,500 kilometers, sharp as a blade, closing a circuit that circles the pole without end. This is not a trick of the light or a fleeting ripple in the atmosphere. The hexagon is a fortress of wind, its walls defined by a jet stream racing at 120 meters per second. Inside, the air turns slower, trapped by the relentless flow, as if held in the eye of a cosmic cyclone. Decades have passed, and the hexagon has not faded. Voyager glimpsed it in 1980. Cassini watched it for 13 years, finding no sign of weakness, no hint of decay. The pattern remains, unmoved by Saturn's seasons or the chaos that roils beneath. Scientists have tried to recreate its shape in spinning tanks and digital storms, but nothing on Earth can match its scale, its longevity, its chilling perfection. Some say the storm is a standing wave, locked in place by deep, hidden currents. Others suspect a vast, unseen engine churning far below the clouds, sculpting the atmosphere into a geometry that should not exist. Stand above the pole and you stare into the eye of something ancient, something that endures. The hexagon is not a storm. It is a prison of wind, a cage built by the planet itself, precise as a machine and just as merciless. Saturn's beauty is not random, it is deliberate, and it does not care if you understand its purpose. Saturn does not sleep. Every 30 years or so, the planet convulses, unleashing a storm so vast it scars the atmosphere from pole to pole. Astronomers call it the Great White Spot, but the name is too gentle. This is a planet-wide eruption, a cosmic maelstrom that dwarfs anything Earth has ever known. It begins as a pale blemish, a wound opening in the golden clouds. Within days, the storm swells, stretching its jaws across 40,000 kilometers, enough to swallow the whole of Earth and leave room for the moon. Towers of cloud rise 30 kilometers high, punching through the upper layers, dragging ammonia and water vapor from the deep. Lightning erupts in the darkness, each flash holding 1,000,000 times the energy of a terrestrial bolt. 10 to the 6th joules are born in the heart of a gas giant. The air itself ignites over and over in a relentless electrical bombardment. Winds howl at over 1,800 kilometers per hour, ripping through the atmosphere with the force of 1,000 hurricanes. The storm's head moves faster than sound, a shockwave wrapped in cloud. For months, Saturn glows brighter, the storm's violence visible even from the cold edge of the solar system. Cassini watched as the planet's face changed, bands of white spreading like frostbite, marking the path of devastation. Then, as suddenly as it began, the storm falters. The energy that fueled it, deep hidden heat rising from Saturn's core, dissipates. The clouds settle, but the scars remain, etched into the planet's memory. This is not weather. This is Saturn's true nature, revealed in a single, terrifying breath. And it will happen again. The monster is never far beneath the surface. Titan waits beyond the rings, shrouded in orange haze, pretending to be familiar. Its surface wears the shapes of Earth, shores, rivers, clouds, storms. But every resemblance is a lie. Step onto Titan, and the air presses harder than at home, 1.45 times the weight of Earth's atmosphere, thick with nitrogen and methane. The cold is absolute, minus 179 degrees Celsius, a place where breath turns to frost and flesh becomes brittle as glass. Seas stretch for hundreds of kilometers, but they are not water. They are pools of liquid methane and ethane, black and oily, deadly to the touch. Rain falls here too, but it is not life that it brings. Methane pours from the sky in rare, violent storms, carving riverbeds across a frozen crust. Only a dim copper twilight reaches the ground, just 1% of the sunlight you know. Titan mimics the shapes of home, but every detail is poison. It is a world that wears the mask of Earth, then kills you with the chemistry of another universe. Enceladus does not keep its secrets. At the South Pole, the surface splits open along 4 great wounds, tiger stripes, each stretching 130 kilometers through ancient ice. From these fractures, the moon bleeds. Plumes erupt into space, a ghostly vapor made of 90% water, laced with salts and organic molecules, evidence of something alive or something that could be. The source is not sunlight, but heat, 5 gigawatts, enough to power a city, forced up from the deep by Saturn's relentless pull. Tidal forces knead Enceladus, keeping a hidden ocean liquid beneath the crust. Every eruption is a message from the dark, a sign that even here, in the cold and the silence, the possibility of life cannot be ignored. But the ocean remains unseen. Its true nature is locked beneath kilometers of ice, watched by fractures that never heal. Enceladus is a wound that refuses to close, a living scar on the edge of Saturn's domain. Cassini was built to endure, but Saturn demands a sacrifice. After 20 years in flight, 13 of them spent circling this giant, the spacecraft was commanded to dive. 22 times it skimmed the gap between rings and cloud tops, threading a needle of death, sending back data until the very end. On September 15th, 2017, Cassini plunged into Saturn's atmosphere, its signal fading, its metals vaporizing in the hydrogen storm. This was not just an ending, but a promise kept. No chance for earthly microbes to contaminate the untouched oceans of Titan or Enceladus. The mission ended in fire, not for glory, but for the protection of worlds still unknown. Saturn's rings are vanishing, shedding a mountain of ice into the void every second. Even beauty this immense is doomed to fade. It's a warning written in frozen debris. Nothing in the universe is safe from collapse, not even what looks eternal. Stand in awe. Remember how fragile we are.